Good morning, welcome back to the Homestead Citadel. My name's Gray, and as promised, today is the day that trees are going to start coming down. I've got 4 decent sized trees that need to come down. I'm all set up here to do the first one. Probably can't tell from here, but this side of the trunk is like all rotted out and dead, so this could be interesting. So I have the winch hooked up. I'm going to have a remote control for the winch so that I can pull it down, and I have the RTV anchored to the tractor just so that the RTV can't slip out, and just to give it some more weight. So I think all planning is done, so enough talk, let's get to work. One down, and I saw this in here in this crotch and was afraid that that was probably going to be a weak point, and I was right. I was getting concerned about, the splitting that could happen through the trunk as I was cutting into it, so I kept my cuts on the outside, being very careful to watch the top and see where it's going, because I knew there would be no holding wood, like holding force to the center where it was rotted out. So that was all that was left, really. I mean, there was still a pretty wide hinge, and I left it like that on purpose. And 2-inch hinge, could have been a little wider, I guess, but it was, that's almost 4 inches on this end. Turned out well. Now 3 to go, and then a couple little ones down here by this one. I think I'm going to do that one next and cut those little ones while I'm at it. So one down. Alright, this one wasn't too bad. Very hollow. I could hear it with the hammer on the trunk before I cut it down. That's why I left it actually a couple years ago when I was working through here. This little root extension, since I was dropping it over that way, this root extension I had my eye on. I wanted to make sure the tree was leaning pretty good that way before finishing this off back here, in case the tree wanted to settle back that way a little bit, because that's the way it was leaning back this way a bit. So I just added some pressure with the winch to make sure it went that way, and I had this whole section left. I mean, there wasn't really anything there, obviously, but that's what was holding it to hinge it the way I wanted it to go. So All right, 2 down. I'm just gonna clean up these couple of small trees here around me. All right, set up for the 3rd one. This one's gonna be tricky. I actually kind of fully expect this tree. So this is leaning pretty hard into my neighbor's property. I'm kind of expecting this tree to either snap off and end up in his field, or probably twist around and land like in this tree or something. But I'm going to attempt to hinge it so that it comes back this way, and if it ends up in these trees, that's fine. But yeah, I have not had good luck getting a tree that's leaning that far over to come down against the lean. So let's see what happens. Well, I didn't get it on video, but it worked out. There was a good bit more hinge wood there in the middle than I had realized that I was fighting the tractor with. I was intentionally getting down to the hinge wood slowly. It, as I kind of expected, as a best case scenario, it ended up in that tree, but that's perfectly fine. I can just take a winch or a chain or something around the trunk there and pull it out safely for the neighbor to cut up. But I am super excited that was probably what's most likely going to be the hardest of the 4. I haven't done the 4th one yet. That's the one by the power line, but this was the one that was leaning real hard. This is what I ended up having to do to get it down. I ended up early on. I ended up switching the main puller to be the tractor instead of the RTV. So I actually literally just disconnected the RTV since there was a lot of hinge wood left. Moved that aside, hooked up the tractor, and started pushing with the tractor. And then I realized, well, even with a little less hinge wood as I went, the tree was heavier than the tractor, so the tractor was actually being pulled back every time it was kind of like a spring, I guess. And then I hooked the RTV up, parked it, turned the winch on, used the remote on the winch to help pull with that as well, and this ended up working out pretty well. Hope to not have to do it again, but the tree is down. Now we have 1 to go. Probably take a break to freshen up and tackle the last tree with a clear mind so that I don't make any mistakes down there by the power line. So 3 for 4 so far. 1 to go. All right, 4 for 4. Feels good. I did not expect that. I expected one of them to give me an issue, but this one went exactly where I had targeted it to go. I wanted to go just to the right of that walnut tree, and that's exactly what happened. After I I didn't even really do a real hinge, at least not intentionally. It looks better than I thought it was, because it was starting to, I got it to this point thinking I had to go down there and take some more off, but it was already, like an inch separation from the cut, so I knew it was going to go. So I backed out just in case anything went wrong. I wanted to make sure I was well clear of those power lines, so I went way up the hill before I allowed the winch to take it the rest of the way. But it really didn't need much from the winch to get it to come. So yeah, all set, all done. I'm super pumped about this. When I first cleared this tree row, behind me here to the road, the 500 feet I'm working on, I did it like 200 years ago, or yeah, 200. I did it like 2 years ago, cut that. I cleared these trees 2 years ago, leaving these 4 specifically because, each one had an issue. This last one here that I just did next to the power line was, the one that I was most concerned about, because at the time I think it was actually leaning towards the power lines a little bit, but with the root coming up and everything, it started moving away, which made this job a whole lot easier. The other one, hinged really far over my neighbor's fence line, so that had its own tricks to deal with. And the one hollow one, of course, that was concerning. But now that I've been doing this for a couple years, I've gotten more experience and learning how to do things safer. So, but yeah, we're all set, ready to clean these up tomorrow morning when the neighbor comes over to cut up for firewood. I might actually be able to get one saw log out of this cherry tree. I would like to, if it didn't splinter on the fall, that is. But I'll take a look at it tomorrow. But I am really happy with the progress made today. It wasn't hard work, but it was mentally stressful, and it's been weighing on me, so I'm really happy to have it done. And now that clears the way for putting in fence posts here starting in a couple days, I think. So super pumped to be so close to being able to call this job finished. And then I got 300-foot run in the back to work on with the neighbor at some point. So, and then after that's done, the perimeter fencing is complete, and it's been 2.5 years or so since I actually started putting in fence posts. Not even like clearing trees and stuff, but just putting in fence posts. It's been about 2.5 years. I mean, if you count clearing trees, which I do, this has been like a 5-year project at this point, coming to a rapid close. I definitely see the light at the end of the tunnel. So, but yeah, that's all I have for today. We'll catch back up tomorrow. All right, good morning. It's the next day. Today I think I'm going to be working on finally getting some of the wood split, so hopefully it can get dry before the winter. I don't think that I have enough wood split for the winter for my customers, so I don't know if this will dry fast enough or not. The oak definitely won't. But yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing today. I'm at least going to try to get the stuff that's already cut up into lengths, firewood lengths, done. And then I have piles and piles of logs left that still need to be cut up and split. But my plan is to do that while the neighbor comes over and starts cutting those trees up, and then I'll be going back and forth between doing firewood, splitting firewood, and burning the tops as he starts working through stuff. So let's get to it. All right, that's a wrap on wood splitting for today. I had intentions of burning at the same time as wood splitting, but I just got focused on trying to get that job done. So it is now finished. That is a lot of firewood that I'm gonna have to stack. So all right, I'm gonna go hydrate and see if I can't get a fire started. All right, neighbor's just down the hill there doing the tree that was very hollow. Got the first tree that I dropped done, and then that one that was leaning into the trees is also done. So coming along nicely. The fire is ripping despite, you know, the green wood. And now I did have a bit of a blunder while I was over there piling up limbs from the trees. I got a little carried away and put a big branch right through the grill of my tractor, so I'll probably just bend that out, see what I can do to make it look good. And I think I'd like to weld a plate into this grill guard, because what it's doing is pretty much nothing.
Hello, Archer. Alright, let's get eggs. Let's get some eggs. This is our rollaway nest box. Your eggs.
What's mommy doing? I mean, we're getting
7 today. 2 Delaware ones. And 5 Leghorn. Alright, that's one really big Delaware egg, so that's probably a double yolker. You're getting so big. Hey, honey. My 2 bottle babies meeting. Oreo and Daisy. Daisy. Oh. Good boy, Oreo. You're so patient, Oreo. What's she doing to you? Good boy, Oreo. Oh, hello, Daisy. Aww.
All right, that's a wrap on this weekend at the Homestead Citadel. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great day.
You want to say something?